My name is Michael Waits, and this is another special edition of Michael Talks Tech. I'm sitting here with SAMSON MASIH, who is a digital entrepreneur in the ad space. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Do you want to talk to me about mobile advertising, or just what got you into this space in the first place?
Well, I envisaged something about 15 years ago.
Okay.
That ads were a big thing.
Well ahead of its time, but yeah?
Yes, so it was newspapers, and we had something like ATL and the BTL stuff. And well, televisions were big. So, well, when you look into the whole aspect of advertising, slowly it came onto desktops and web space. And I started thinking, this seems to be heading to a direction. And suddenly we had this great smartphone thing in 2007.
Yeah.
And I could feel that this is going to change the world, of course.
So where were you then, and what were you doing at the time?
I was in Geneva at the moment, and I was having a trading business, actually.
Okay.
And the most of it that I did was on spreadsheets. And I started looking around for reaching out my audience who would be buying. So, you know, Europe has quite a few large chain stores like Allegro, Migros, and all these guys.
Okay.
So we tried to fetch some business from them, but we didn't know where to go beyond that. So mobile was adding a new dimension to reaching our clients. And so when I started doing that, I was thinking, would it be nice if I could help people find their clients? So the idea of lead generation and all those things were taking a new dimension. And disruption was just beginning.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing to disrupt before that because a mobile phone was dumb, actually.
Right.
Right.
And then came the next big thing. Actually, you could actually do a lot of computations on your smartphone.
Right. It started turning into a handheld computer as opposed to just a phone. I mean, to be fair, if you're carrying a smartphone now, it's not even a phone. I mean, it is, but that's just one of the apps that it has on it, yeah.
Yes. So I could feel, you know, there's something coming. Probably I wasn't the brightest of them all, but I could follow the bright people and understand a few things.
Right.
And then I took this on from my hobby or from my part-time kind of a thing that I was doing into my mainstream business.
Right. So you said the trading business is great, but this is the future. I'm going to go to the future.
Exactly. So that brought me into mobile advertising. But of course, before that, I had a venture which was totally to display. And that I quit about 2 years ago.
What was it?
That was a company called Yango.
Yango.
And
what did Yango do?
We basically got advertisements. We bought some spaces on some publishers' websites. We stitched on the ads. You know, it was quite the kind of traditional kind of thing that started.
Yep.
And then when I found that this would go a little further, I decided to quit and get into something which would look a little bigger. And I could see it coming. You know?
Right.
So 2014 was the year when I made a big decision. And we decided to get into an ad network. On our own, purely mobile first, and
so you build a mobile RTB and DSP.
That's right.
Okay.
So we are now.
For people that don't know what that means, real-time bidding system and demand-side platform.
Right. So now we integrate with a lot of exchanges, with a few of our own classic inventories integrating the system.
In all of Asia?
Globally.
Globally.
So we serve something like over 50 billion ad impressions daily.
50 billion?
That's right.
Billion.
Billion, as in B.
Did someone say billion?
Yeah.
That's a lot of impressions.
That's right. And we have...
I had a joke about that, actually, but it's actually not funny anymore.
No, but that's how it looks like, you know. So when we say 180% penetration in Thailand for mobile phones, it's actually...
Well, it is, because the mobile phone penetration could be that high.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the number of impressions go up that way.
Fair enough.
And then we integrate with a lot of partners, DoubleClick, Rubicon, PubMatic, KROL, LiveRail.
And what's the name of this company?
This is actually a subsidiary of DigitalONE. It's called the RTBX1.
RTBX1, subsidiary of Digital.
Real-time bidding exchange
one.
Yeah.
Right. Have you heard of AdMax?
Yes, yes. Of course. That's one of the
original,
one of the first, actually.
One of the original ones, yeah.
Yes, yes. It's owned by Comly, I guess. Huh?
It is now.
Right.
Yeah. Comly Digital Media.
Right.
Right. So, okay. So where do you think it's going from here? I mean, there are plenty of people in the RTB business and plenty of people in the DSP business as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. But you connect all the sort of biggest players on both sides of the business, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
So it had taken off to a new level, which is called programmatic now.
Right.
You can have reserved inventory, and of course you can go beyond that. But then, of course, as it goes, I was telling you this when you started with, so I saw the next level coming, and that is the those are the beacons, micro-location, proximity, as they call it.
Proximity-based marketing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Location-based marketing, to be very specific. So I think that is what it is coming to, actually.
It is. It's not there yet.
Kind of.
So in your mind, how does it work?
So, well, I see the future as an integration, a convergence of the real-time bidding mechanism with a lot of attributes coming in from location-based marketing and vice versa.
So let's use like a two-universe example, right? So I've got, let's just say, two stores next to each other, right? They both have beacons, so they're both broadcasting. Right. Okay, you're running a real-time bidding system in a demand-side platform. How do you integrate with those two? Let's say one is a sneaker shop, right, and one is, I don't know, pick anything, a kitchen goods shop. I don't care. So what happens logistically?
You actually need to profile a customer.
Yep.
And you need attributes to do that.
For sure.
So beacons could be very handy when it comes to real-time natural attributes. And when I say that, I mean, if you really want to discern when is this person going to buy the next pair of sneakers.
Right.
Now, that's a cycle. It's very common, actually, because if you're buying a pair of sneakers, you know that probably it's another 3 months down the line that you're going to do it. But your seller doesn't know it. Now, we can get more granular, getting to the point where beacons could help feed those attributes. And which means when you get that client online on your real-time bidding system with these attribute feeds, you'll actually be looking at this client coming on now within the span of time, buying sneakers, and you could actually get more native to that person, talking about those particular products, which is going to buy in a week, in a month, and so on, getting him prepared.
Right.
So beacons would naturally come into a next level.
So there are companies that do this, actually.
Yes, they do that. But I think that integration with beacons is a little far off at the moment now.
There's a company that does this in Europe, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But they're not in Southeast Asia.
That's right. Exactly what we were discussing before about identifying themselves here. But this is a market to be in now. And there are plenty of things which are picked up from the West into this part of the world, which really works for this place. Of course, there's a little tweaking required, but it works here.
Yeah, it should work here. So in my mind, right, and this is just one example, I've got a smartphone, right? I've got an iPhone 6S, whatever it is, right? No, I don't have one, but I have a 5C, but it doesn't matter. Let's say I have a 6S, right? And I get off at Plunket.
Right.
Okay. Now, VGA has all these sort of installations. Or I get on the train or get off, it doesn't matter to me. But they have all these installations, these glass screens that they have, so before you board. Right. In my mind, that's reverse. They should be on the other side after you get off the train. Because you cannot transact on the train.
Right.
Anyway, it's just my opinion. Yeah, those guys are way smarter than I am because their business is much bigger. But if you have a screen, first of all, those screens should be interactive in some way. They're not. They should have beacons in them, which they don't. But if they do, when I get off the thing, if it's noontime or 12:30, I should get fed like a 10% discount from McDonald's because it's right over there.
Yes.
Okay, that's contextual and that's proximity-based advertising. This is going to be it's a massive business if you can connect with the MRT, the BTS, in any country, in any city in the world, right? Not just them, but that's just their brand. Or you can have a beacon on a bus or a beacon in a taxi, or you can integrate with Uber, all these different things that you can do with beacons to feed things to people's phones.
That's right.
Now, it's got to be opt-in, not opt-out, because you don't want to annoy people. But if you consider the fact that, let's say, mobile phone penetration is 100 and something percent, it's just 100 and something, I don't know what the number is, it changes, right? Your audience for this is massive, and it's not just in Bangkok. It's in every major city where there's a bus or a taxi.
Correct.
Yeah, because it doesn't have to necessarily be the BTS. The question is, how do you build out that network of beacons? Because beacons themselves are actually quite inexpensive.
For now, yes. But
for now,
as it happens with every technology.
Yeah.
So as the time passes, probably another few months as we're looking at. 2016 is the year of the beacon. That's what we see.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what they've done to even to sports stadiums in the United States, right? So if you look
Super Bowl's big now.
The Super Bowl for sure, but if you look at even just some of the basketball teams, I think it's the Dallas Mavericks or the Clippers, I don't know, Los Angeles Clippers maybe, and another one of the teams in the West, the whole stadium is filled with beacons.
Yes.
Okay, so not only does it advertise to people, but it also collects data. Who's in the stadium? What's their MAC address? How old are they? Do I identify themselves in the form? All this information.
Actually,
right?
if you're looking at the whole thing instead of from the advertising side, monetizing of course happens.
Sure.
But what happens before that is when people look at a utility, the way it helps them.
For sure.
So let's say one of the examples is the San Diego airport. It's fully beaconized now for over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of, even looking at helping people out, they naturally tend to opt in. So
for sure.
Right. So now today, if let's say there's a medical issue at a particular point in San Diego airport, the help desk is nowhere to be found. You can't really run around and find a help desk.
Doesn't matter. You don't need it anymore. You don't need it anymore.
So you have this big red button on your UX,
phone. Yep.
and you press it. The help comes to you.
Right. Where's the closest first aid station,
exactly,
or whatever it is?
Yeah. And they find you.
But people will opt in for this for sure because, like you said, you're getting a service provided to you. But once you opt in, and then there's always been a question for me of, is there one like universal app into which all the beacons feed? Or are there a bunch of different ones? Right? In other words, is it WhatsApp? Is it Line? Yes. Is it whatever? Because I have 3 or 4 chat apps that I use. There's not one main chat app that integrates everything.
Right.
So the question is there a beacon app that sits in your phone and serves you everything? Or then does it splinter into just like the Nike app that just shows you where Nike's getting
That's
sold?
been a discussion in 2015.
For
but
sure.
Of late, we have seen some companies actually most of the companies are going the way that it has to be done. So they're integrating them to wallets. So iOS wallet is now integrated with iBeacon protocols.
Yeah, fair
and
enough.
So is the Android stuff.
Right.
Which means now you could actually do away with a lot of these individual apps which are costly to build.
Mm-hmm.
They're hard to maintain.
Right, and everyone has to build their own payment systems as well.
Exactly.
I think people are going to actually integrate. And in my mind, people talk about, 2C2P and all these other companies that do payments, but to me, it's starting to feel like that's more and more of a commodity. To me, because over time, payments is just going to be generic. Everyone's going to be able to pay. Right, in the sense that the company that makes your wallet, your physical wallet, unless you're very wealthy, right, and you're buying like Bottega Veneta or something, or buying Coach, the wallet itself is a commodity. It's the money that goes in it that's where the money is, right? So to me, the wallet itself is a commodity. Payments are a bit of a commodity. But the services that the ancillary services that you get around that payment system is really important. And the beacons, I think, are going to be a big part of that. But are you building that?
Well, we are into payments because 2016 is a time where we are trying to help our clients with the payment system. We know this is what the future is coming to now.
Sure. I mean, all payments should be automated.
Yes.
Right. You should never have to think about it.
Well, Southeast Asia is developing, as you say.
But it should. I said it should be.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was. Right?
So, and it's a little slower when you compare because people don't have credit cards.
Well, they do, but they don't use them. So you have 2 problems. There are a lot of credit cards out there.
Yeah.
But nobody uses them.
Well, the companies are trying hard.
I understand.
We agree to it.
I understand.
But usage would be a kind of, probably people are concerned with a lot of stuff around probably security, probably...
On trust.
Trust.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very important. But I think when it comes to something like they could trust these companies who are into payments.
Right.
And it actually, it's kind of a following. That's also there.
Yeah.
So if they see their friends and co-workers, colleagues, family using wallets, they would actually follow.
Well, it's just like everything else. Like I said, it's a trust issue. If your friends go to a certain part of town and tell you it's safe, you're just going to go there without thinking about it unless you think it's safe. Okay, so what's the next big thing then? Like, what are you going to do next? You already have you have a massive, clearly, if it's 50 billion, I mean, it's just such a big number. But if you have all these impressions, you obviously understand the ad business. You have data to use for this. Do you go out and you build this big beacon business?
Well, we are looking beyond this now, and we have been talking in 2015 about the IoT.
Right.
And I think the next level is something called the SNT, which is it's evolving now.
What's SNT?
The social network of things, as they call it.
Fair enough. So things that actually talk to each other. Yeah, so again, somebody that we know is writing a PhD on what he calls service discovery. Yeah. And the service discovery is actually quite interesting. I'll let him talk about that because he's more knowledgeable than I am, but I get it. Right, so the social network of things makes sense. Okay, well, I guess we'll have to watch that develop. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
This was fascinating for me. I hope it was interesting for you as well.
Of course. And it's a great show to be on. Thank you very much.
One second. I'd like to thank SAMSON MASIH for joining us on this very special edition of Michael Talks Tech. This is, we're broadcasting here from GMASA in Bangkok in 2016. We'd like to thank GMASA as well for making us the official podcast partner for them, and we'd like to thank all of the guests that sat with us today. It was awesome. Thank you very much.
We have an amazing lineup of guests today. Chris KROL, building apps can be silly crazy. Guillaume Sachet, modernizing media. SHAWN, video ads get personal. NIKKI ASSAVATHORN, building a mobile game studio. WASIN THONKAEW, indie games. DJOANN, a story of community building and company building. CRV, GMASA founder and sponsor of this conference. NAMRATA KAPUR, insights on cloud services for startups. LAIS de Oliveira, started the Airbnb for office space in Southeast Asia. SAMSON MASIH, 50 billion impressions? Wow. IZHAK, he'll tell us things about online gambling that you won't believe.